our organizations in mapping, visualizing, and analyzing data related to socioeconomics, health, education, demographics, and natural resources. This will be roughly about a 40-minute webinar, post which we'll take questions. We will also, in the 40 minutes, discuss how GIS can be used to involve multiple stakeholders and solve contemporary social problems by taking the audience through a case. We have with us today faculty Divya and Neeti, as well as Juhi. Divya is from the School of Development. She works at, just a little bit about her, it'll do no justice, but I'll just make it brief. She works at the intersection of complexity and adaptive decision-making. She has a keen interest in understanding livelihood decisions through the socio-ecological systems lens. She works with tools like agent-based modeling, social network analysis, and system dynamic to understand livelihood decisions. She's also the recipient of the PhD grant from the Collaborative Adaptation Research Initiative. Welcome, Divya. We also have Neeti with us. Neeti teaches at both the School of Arts and Sciences as well as the School of Development. Neeti is a scientist with experience of more than 20 years in the field of data analytics and geospatial technology. Her research focuses on using various AI-based approaches and geospatial technology in the field of forestry, agriculture, and disaster management. Again, a lot to say about Neeti, and what I've said is nothing when compared to what she's actually done and how accomplished she is. But welcome, Neeti. We also have with us Juhi, who's faculty with the School of Development and also teaches the Research for Social Action Diploma program. Welcome, Juhi. And so we have Sharmishta on the call, who manages the admissions, and I'm Faustina, who's part of the outreach team at Azim Premji University. So welcome once again, and without further ado, I'll hand it over to Divya and Neeti to take you through the rest of the hour.
Thank you, Faustina. Hello, everyone.
Sorry, Neeti, just a quick thing. We're also able to see your next slide. It's not on complete presentation mode. We're also seeing the notes section.
Is it moving or not?
It's moving, but we're able to see your slide decks on the right side as well.
Oh, okay.
It will be available in the display settings.
Thank you, whoever that was, Anand. Neeti, for the paucity of time, why don't you just go with it? Don't make a presentation mode, just go with sharing, and I think we should be good.
Okay, is it better?
Yeah, sure. If everyone's okay with that, then we can go on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So hello, everyone. So today we are here to discuss about how GIS can be used for social sector. So I'm Neeti. With me is my colleague Divya. We will be taking you a journey in through GIS applications. So I will start with a quote from Jack Benjamin, who is the founder of ESRI, which is the most well-known company in the field of GIS. The application of GIS is limited only by the imagination of those who use it. Now, with respect to overview, I'll give you a brief introduction to what is GIS, and
Your slide is not moving, Neeti.
Okay.
You can start slide share.
Slide sharing here.
It's working now.
Click on F5.
F5. Okay. Is it moving?
No.
No?
Function F5.
Function F5.
A function F5, I was saying, not F.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll briefly introduce what is GIS, and I will give the overview of few of the applications in social sector. And then my colleague Divya is going to talk about detailed case study, how participatory GIS can be used. When we talk about GIS, it constitutes three terms: geographic, information, and system. Geographic, where, the locations. Informations, what are the different attributes about the location which are important for studying. And another component is when. That means if we want to understand how it is changing, then that will come under information. And then the last part is system, which includes hardware, software, different data model, and definitely the people who will be using GIS.
Sorry, Neeti, we're still on slide 1 on your title slide.
Okay, so maybe I will just go like this.
Now we see slide 3. Yeah, keep
Yeah, now
clicking
it's
on it
moving.
manually. Yeah.
Okay, sorry about that. So how GIS works? So we know that maps are graphical representation of the real world. Now, if we want to, we can start with the real world, then we can make a representation out of it, right? This is a representation of the real world. Now, we can extract different types of information about different locations. So there are different features, separate features, the where component and the attribute data. What is there? What attributes are there for those features? So, so here, if you see, this is the Earth model, and there are different features, and these are different layers or different data, right? It is related to something, if somebody is interested in marketing, related to customer, parcel, land use, elevation, all these different kinds of data set or different in GIS term that is called layers. Now, once we have the layer, then we can, all these separate layers are connected with geography. That means there is geographical location associated with each of the attributes. Now, GIS is all about making a sandwich. So we can combine all these layers together depending on what is our objective, what we are trying to address, and to answer those questions. There are many applications of GIS. You can see it can be utilized all around the world in many different sectors. It started more with the environmental applications, but it has reached a lot inside the social sectors as well. Here we are today to discuss about different applications in social sector. So one of the application, there are multiple applications in social sectors. It could be related to health, archaeology, education, demography, political science, logistics, and so on. So there are many applications. But to use GIS, what we need is geographic perspective to understand the relationship between the locations and the attributes and the pattern which is arising from there, and so on. Now, when we talk about health, one of the fundamental way one can use GIS is for visualization. That means where are our target populations? So spatial distribution of that. It could be elderly population. Where are the locations of elderly population? Or it could be many other attributes we can consider. Then locating health services and its geographical relationship with the target population. Where are the hospitals? Whether it is primary healthcare service or it is some multi-speciality hospital, where are different health services and how it is related in terms of distance to the target population. We can also visualize health trends, health systems performing indicators. For example, we can have One way to look at the health systems performance indicator could be using mortality rate. That okay, how the mortality rate are changing, or from hospital to hospital, and so on. We can also track real-time disease outbreak using GIS. For example, COVID-19 is the latest case where spatial analysis and GIS is widely used for to look into that. Understanding how physical accessibility and distance of services correlates with the population. So basically, how physically accessible are these hospitals or the healthcare services, and how distant, how far they are from the target population. And then at the end, these are some of the application. At the end, there could also be like analyzing links between environmental risk and health impact. For example, if we want to see how does air pollution impact our health, let's say asthma cases, then we can easily use GIS. I mean, I'm sure we have heard enough time on media that Delhi people are going to live 7 years less than most of the country, right? And that's where spatial analysis can be really good too. Here are certain different types of questions that can be answered. So, for example, what are the potential barriers and facilitators to assessing prenatal delivery and postpartum services? What we can do, we can take household survey and try to figure out also the different health services available, location of those, and we can do some kind of spatial analysis there. What is important is geographical location. So we need to have individual latitude, longitude, or the location information for all the samples which can be generated. Where are women of childbearing age, pregnancies, and births? So this question, again, we can do thematic mapping and spatial analysis to generate high resolution population distribution, and then we can analyze the relationship with the whatever the health services available. Where are the population most at risk of malaria transmission? Again, we can do different kinds of spatial modeling to understand the location, to get the hotspot, to get the locations where the people are most at risk, and that can assist in decision making. So these are few of the questions out of several questions which are out there. I will start with when we talk about GIS and health. One of the most early application of GIS and health is London cholera epidemic. This happened in 1854. One medical practitioner, medical doctor, Dr. John Snow, he looked into like, okay, why the deaths are not decreasing, and he used GIS and spatial analysis basically to figure out that responsible factor for these deaths were water pump and one specific pump. He figured out the location of specific pump which was leading to all these deaths. So you can imagine this is way before when we started using the digital technology. Here is another application where dengue spread was studied for Delhi between 2008 to 10. So the left side, the map which you see is the environmental deprivation map, which is basically constructed by considering level of infrastructure available for each colony, economic status of the resident, if the type of colony, that is, if it is approved, not approved, or if it is recently approved, property tax score. So number of factors were taken. Again, different information were put together as a sandwich, and this layer came up as a solution, right? So this is the map. And now here there are two videos. What we see here is in 2008, the first case happened on July 17th, and within 2 to 3 weeks, all these big clusters came. Whereas if we look at 2009, first case also happened in July, but there was monsoon was pretty weak in July, and so the number of cases picked up during later in the time in September. So what researcher found in this was that most of the large clusters were associated with smaller distance, small mean distance between the cases. That means there were high density cases. Now, this one, I will try to put it in this mode. Is it visible, this open data solution for preventable snake bite?
Yes, is visible.
Okay, thanks. So this is a World Health Organization initiative. World Health Organization has been using leveraging GIS for many different activities. And here is the case, snake bites. We know that there are a number of kills, like almost millions of people every year get bitten by this, and either they die or some of them get disabled also. In fact, almost 146 million people across the globe live within the range of 1 or 2 snakes which are of venomous quality. Now, if we consider India, 50% of all the deaths which happen due to snake bite are in India. And 75% of those bites that happen, the deaths which happen, it's outside hospital. So the idea is, how do we take care of, how do we save life, right? So World Health Organization again used GIS to come up with a way. So they basically mapped individual healthcare center, as well as they mapped all the target population, right, and figured out the route. So they did the route analysis. So a victim in Jharkhand was bitten while sleeping on the ground in open air housing. They figured out from the symptoms what kind of snake bite was that. And then through route analysis, they were able to take the victim to the nearest hospital, which was almost 5 hours away, where this particular snake bite anti-venom was available. So this is one of the example of how World Health Organization is using GIS technology. There are many examples which they have come up with. So there is one where they have used during the COVID-19 response, where they have used, World Health Organization has used GIS extensively to figure out how to have the vaccination, how to distribute vaccination to a number of countries. Similarly, they have used in Africa to reach out to all the population in different countries so that they have access to essential health services. My slides are moving.
Right now on the snake
Not
bite.
moving.
No,
Right now it's not
it's
moving.
Stuck. Open data solution.
Okay.
Now it is moving.
Yeah. Okay. Now, here is another example from how GIS can be used in very powerful way to figure out the new hospital site selection. This is example of hospital site selection, but this could also be in terms of school. When we want to understand where the new school need to be made, we can use similar way, we can use the GIS. So this is the case of Prayagraj city. Like any city in India, it has also more population and less number of healthcare centers, whether it is primary healthcare or multi-specialty hospital, all are lower than the number of lower compared to the total population. So for this particular research, they contacted different hospital administrators as well as different researchers who work in the domain of healthcare services, and they came up with what are the different criteria which are required to establish a hospital. So they came up with socioeconomic criteria, environmental criteria, and geographical criteria. So total 11 criteria. And they did some basic GIS processing. Definitely each has different layers in GIS term or different data set related to population density or how close it should be from the slum, so distance from the slum, what is the cost of the land, and so on. So here are a few of the maps showing population density, proximity to slum, and land cost. And all these are 3 maps. Similarly, they generated another 8 maps, and they all were integrated, or again, a sandwich was made. And then they came up with which are the most suitable for hospital location and which are least suitable. So what you see is the green are the colors which are most suitable, and the red are the colors where it is not at all suitable. Okay, so definitely how we make the sandwich, it depends on which criteria are more important, which are less, and many other factors. Now I will talk about how GIS could be useful in education. Already it is being used. In fact, government has also come up with some websites which has different spatial data sets available. So one way GIS can be used in education is to identify hard to reach students. How it can be done? Like if we can map different schools in the remote areas, and then we figure out the target population, who will be the children of certain age group for, let's say, primary education, and figure out what is the distance, how much is the distance between the school and those target population, and figure out that, okay, where we can have new school developed. Similarly, it can also be used for understanding school and community connectivity. So in fact, during the COVID-19, one of the sector which was most badly hit was education sector. And that's the time when UNESCO and some other organization came up with an idea that there need to be internet connectivity, because still we have got millions of population who do not have internet connection. So having at global scale, they are trying to do that, okay, all the schools and community need to be connected with the internet. And for that, they are using GIS. And then the third way which GIS can be used is finding innovative ways to allocate teachers to high need areas, depending on what kind of schools are there, primary school, secondary school, and how we can use how we can take the assistance of the teachers at multiple locations. One such study was done to figure out education infrastructure in rural India at assembly constituency level. So in this particular study, it was done at assembly constituency, or that's AC I'm mentioning here, because most of the decisions are made at that scale. So here, objective was to evaluate the educational infrastructure, that whether a school is available within the village or within 5 kilometers from the village or beyond 5 kilometers. What we see here are few maps as an example. First map is about Anganwadi, second is for government primary school, and third is for senior secondary school. And each one has percentage of village in individual assembly constituency, with nearest school outside village and over 5 kilometers away. What you can from here you can get is all the red shade is showing the bottom. That means that villages which have more percentage of villages which have problem. Okay, in terms of that means that there are more number of villages with nearest school which are beyond 5 kilometers outside village, whereas blue are where the facility is much better. Here is another example how we can use GIS for infrastructure evaluation. So here is the example from primary school in Prayagraj district. So what we see here is more than 4,000 schools are there. And researchers had mapped number of students per teacher, girl-boys ratio, number of students per toilet. In fact, what they found was there were number of schools where there was more than 100 students were for for more than 100 students, there was one teacher. In terms of girl-boys ratio, it was much better, like approximately 50%, like more than 2,000 schools had more girls than boys, and more than 2,000 schools had more boys than girls. But most alarming was in terms of hygiene, where there were 13 schools where there was no toilet at all, whereas there are more than 200 schools where there is like one toilet for more than 200 students. So something like this for which GIS can be nicely used, and it is possible to locate those, figure out where some major need to be taken. Now the last part is I will talk about how GIS can be used in demography. So we have census data which has got tons of information. So one can first of all visualize all these demographic data, understand, let's say, migration, how it is changing over space and time. And we can also look into different patterns in the cities. One such example is for poverty mapping for local governance in Delhi. What we see here is researchers, what they did was like took different kinds of capital. For example, social capital, like percentage of household which are of scheduled caste, human capital related to education and employment, similarly financial capital, physical capital. So again, what we are talking about is 12 different information which were integrated together to come up with index of multiple deprivation. What they found was, generally one would expect that, so this is the map of IMD, index of multiple deprivation, and a darker color shows there is more deprivation, whereas lighter color shows there is less deprivation. And they try to link it with the number of percentage of slum household. And what they found was there was not much association. The more association they found was with percentage of household below poverty line. So another example of GIS where GIS can be nicely used. In fact, Government of India has taken initiative and has come up with this census GIS. In fact, you can go to the website and there all the states and union territories are listed. You can click on any state, figure out, like, let's say Karnataka, and if I wanted to figure out which are the villages in Anekal which have more than 1,000 people in that village, these are highlighted using this brown color. So basically, one can do all different kinds of queries using different census data set, and it is available for 2001 and 11 as of now. Now, when we talk about GIS for social sector, we can't avoid talking about SDGs. So in fact, ESRI India has launched policy maps. So you can see here, there is a map for...
You need to move to that slide.
Okay, sorry. Here is a map where it is it this one? Yeah. So here is a map where it is showing SDG 1. So how it has improved or declined in different states, that was it is mapped. So ESRI has mapped for all different SDGs. So basically considering all the indicators, what is required for individual SDGs. And then they have done the monitoring and figured out, like, again, GIS sandwich, and came up with state level information. When we talk about all these SDGs and the social sector, we cannot really separate environment and social sector. One of the example which I came across yesterday was Pani mila to badli mansikta 40%, 40% tak ghate aparadh. So in fact, this was a post in LinkedIn from an engineer from Madhya Pradesh Water Resource Department. And what was the issue was, like, there was no irrigation, irrigation facility was not there in this region, in Kalibeet region, Rajgarh district, and which was leading to more crime. And since they have established the irrigation, now there is increase in crop production, migration check is there, less migration, poverty alleviation, revival of cultural festivals, decline in crime. So there's, like, social quality has improved substantially by taking care of the environment, right? So we need to integrate all this together, and that GIS is one of the one of the best way to do that. With that, I will end my presentation, and my colleague will take over from here. And I will end with a quote from father of GIS, Roger Tomlinson. I'm very positive about the future of GIS. It's the right technology at the right time. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeti. I think, Juhi, I will continue. Yeah.
Divya, just a second. Juhi, there's a question. Do we want to take this right now? Because I think
Sure.
it's a reference to what Neeti shared. Ashok asks, at macro program level and wider geography GIS, it looks very relevant for identification of need catchment area. Is there use cases for focused intervention in a block or in an urban slum pockets?
Okay, I will have to check because it was a long question. Let me.
Yeah, Divya, maybe you can start sharing your slide while Neeti is trying to reread that the question. So Divya, your presentation's another about 10 minutes, and Divya, you're going to be talking
Yes.
about how participatory GIS can take place, right?
Right. So, I mean, I'll be, can you see the slides moving?
Yes, we can. Excellent. Sorry, Neeti, did you want to take that question? before Divya starts?
Yeah, I mean, definitely GIS can be used for at very local scale also, like block or urban slum pockets. Definitely, we need to create our own data set for that. It may not be available like a ready-made data set, like in the sense like, most of the time, like let's say a census data, that is household level. So if we can figure out the different slum boundaries, then we can do spatial analysis within those slum boundaries itself.
Thanks. Chavi, maybe I'll just quickly respond to you. In fact, Faustina, Sarmishta, and I can talk a little bit when Divya's done about the certificate in GIS and quantitative analysis that we will be running. And no, you don't need any technical background to learn it. In fact, Divya and Neeti will be the faculty who will teach, and they can attest to that as well.
Yeah, definitely. You don't need technical background. The whole idea is that how we can apply. So you will be learning more about the application, not means technology is there, but more towards the application, not about the technical nitty-gritty detail. That won't be required.
Anand, before we come to your question, Divya will maybe present for her 10 minutes and we will take your question. I hope that's okay.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That's fine.
Okay. So let me start. So it is now you have understood, or like you have gone through what all GIS can do. The possibilities is immense, and you can, if you just know about how GIS work and how the spatial information intersecting with whatever data you have, how much power, like you have that kind of power in your hand where you can make decisions and propose projects, and in a much more aware way, or in a much more nuanced way. So this is one thing which is a GIS methodology which is more participatory in nature, which I have conducted in my research, and I thought it will be very nice to understand that even at village level you can have some kind of GIS mapping, and you can take your project or take your research in a nuanced way. So here in participatory GIS, what we are talking about, that we are linking technology, community research, and social learning. So GIS is a technology, but actually we can take it to community. People think maybe GIS is something which you have to do just on your computers, and people who are very technically advanced only can like have that kind of interaction with the tool. But actually it is not. It is just the understanding that how that specificity, that means like how the data that is actually in the space, how can you utilize that in creating a better knowledge system. So I will take you through a very like methodological aspect, so you can have a sense that actually a GIS can be done at a village level also. So this is something which I did in Uttarakhand. So there were 3 villages, and we want to have some kind of understanding of what kind of water hazards are there. And we wanted to understand this from people's perspective also. So what we did, we took a cadastral map, which is there at the Land Revenue Department. We digitized that. So that's a GI aspect where you have the map, and then you take that map to the community. Normally, we do that in a PRA activity where we gather the community and create a map with them. But normally those maps are lost in a way that they are not able to, like, we are not able to utilize what data or what kind of information that we have gathered during that kind of activity. So that gave me like an understanding that why can't we have that kind of mapping, because GIS again is about mapping your information. So what we did, that we digitized that map, and then we took that to different community. Even within the village, you must have come across that not all community members come together and sit in a place and then discuss about the problem. So this became an entry point where we actually went to different sections of the community, and they added some information in the map. And then we could collect a much richer map in that sense, where community was also participating. So I went to different, like, gender groups or different community groups. And then we added the information, what they were thinking about, how the water is doing. Like for this, especially this village, this is Hakimpur Turra, which was there in Roorkee. And there was a lot of water problems, and people were saying that, the water table is going down and they have to use a lot of different technology, like extensive water pumping was going on. And but we wanted to like make the whole village understand that water is a common resource. So if we are like, if a person is drawing more water, actually it is hampering the person's water who's there in the near vicinity. Normally water is like a private thing, because if you have your own borewell, nobody can actually question you how much you draw, but basically it's a common resource. But to have that kind of understanding, we had to sit with all the stakeholders together and to understand the whole question. So when we mapped all the things and is there a
Go on.
yeah, okay. So this is the map which we created after like mapping all the wells, bore wells, and we created an influence zone. So there is an influence zone around bore well, which should not intersect. And there is a law around it, but people don't really care about that law, and it's not very like people are not penalized for not having like that kind of distance between the bore wells. But then after doing this kind of exercise, they understood that if you see this, I don't know if my pointer is working, but there is a pink dot, which is actually 600 feet. And you can see the larger wells around it. That means it was creating a drawdown effect. And how it was affecting the other community members were that if you have a deeper well, then you have to have a pump which has higher efficiency to draw your water, and those kind of submersible pumps that they cost more. So that was happening around it. So then we sat together with the community, and then we thought of reviving their farm ponds and the structures which they had already, but nobody were taking care of them because everyone had that private bore well. But that was not solving the problem itself. And how I see GIS is that you can lay information on it, and then you can create a system, a decision support system for the village itself. Now you have this data, how the other wells are behaving. You can keep on changing the data itself, and this can be very live thing, to have that kind of contribution in a village system, where you can think about interventions that people can come together and do a lot of other activities. So this was something which we did on like a middle region, where we have mapped all the springs and how many families were dependent on that. Then that shows that how it is distributed, and then you can talk around it and all those things. So the way Neeti said, that it's just in your imagination that how much you can use this tool, and there is no limit actually. So I think I'll just stop there because we don't have much time. So I just wanted to highlight that it can be done on a very smaller scale as well. Am I doing okay on time? I think.
Christina? Is Divya okay on time?
We'll have to slowly start wrapping up, Divya, maybe another few minutes.
So I think, so just I just wanted to say that GIS, you can have social inclusion as well as knowledge integration. So you can see here that you can take that map and go to different stakeholders. Even the administrators will have something in their hand to understand what the community thinks about, what kind of infrastructure they want, or what they are doing right now. So even we are thinking in terms of the question came for the slum. So you have like if you can create a map around the slum, and you can ask people where they want that kind of intervention, you can have that on the map and digitize it and then, take it to different stakeholders as well. So that can be a very good entry point. So that was the whole understanding, because that's how the whole learning also happens among different stakeholders. So yeah, that is all from my side.
There are some questions in the chat box. Is there village level shape files available open source? If so, how can we access it?
Yes, it is available. Open source is there, and there is a, if you can Google Shrug, SHRUG, you will find that it is available. But it has the census, it is done using census data of 2011. And I think you can find for 2001 also.
And normally cadastral maps are available, so you can digitize that cadastral map for a village boundary. If it's you understand like these are the 5 villages, then actually you can create a boundary and you can do it with them. That's what has been done for like the way I have done it. So I got the cadastral map from the Land Revenue Department and digitized it.
There's another question from Vipin Yadav. He says, I am a new student of GIS. How do I tell people about the benefits of GIS?
How to tell people about the benefits? Yeah, there are, we showed you some of the applications of GIS, how you can use. So definitely from what is your area of work? We can discuss about like how GIS can be utilized there, because benefits are n numbers. We demonstrated few, but I'm sure that you will look out, you will find like wherever there is location, there is GIS. You can do a lot of things. Okay, and there is relationship between those locations. Nothing happens just randomly, right? So definitely there are a lot of benefits. We can discuss more, like depending on what you are working on. I can definitely tell you what all we can do in those domains.
Yeah. So basically GIS adds another dimension to your data. So you can just understand in that way. Normally the data is seen as just number, like, but then it's on a space level, and then the nuance which you will get will be very different than just looking at like larger data. Yeah.
Christina, can I just quickly, I think this is a really good moment to, because there have been so many questions about how to learn GIS, how to make it more useful, how can it be useful for my own work in my organization, in the villages where I work and things. So maybe this is a really good point.
It is.
For us to make a plug for a course where you can actually learn this, because it seems like many of you are interested. So one thing that we've done at the university, and I think that we're really proud of, is that we've been working a lot with people who are already in the social sector, such as people like you. So we do have a certificate in quantitative analysis and GIS. So these are 2 courses, and it's a 3-month certificate, 2 weeks in person here on campus with Neeti, Divya, and a couple of other faculty such as myself. And then you go back online, and every Saturday we'll take these classes. And what you will actually end up learning is GIS for social change. So exactly what Divya and Neeti kind of talked a little bit about, but they'll talk about it for 3 months. So you'll obviously learn much more. They're going to take different cases, trying to tell you about data, what you can do, how you can sort of work with it, and the other course that goes with it. And I think they already gave you a hint about the other course that would really match really well with it, is quantitative methods for social research and action. So what the quantitative course does is, again, right, for neither course do you need great math skills. You really, it's really simple to get into the course. You just write a basic, very, very simple entrance test, which is 10 standard level, how to, count percentages and that sort of thing, right? Really basic multiplication and subtraction. And that course, the quantitative course, talks about larger data sets. So, for instance, Mission Antodaya, NFHS data. So larger public data sets. Again, how, if I'm working in a village, I'm working in a block, how can I make sense with what Neeti and Divya talked about, and with, say, larger quantitative data sets? How can I bring all this to my village and make it sense, make sense for me and my work? Right, so that's kind of what this certificate will do. I think Sarmishta's put up the details there. Thank you. But unfortunately, the closing date is on the 30th, which is on Saturday. So yeah, so if you're interested, please do apply. We'd be really happy to look through your applications and work with you. There are a couple of other questions. Faustina, if you have any questions about the certificate, you're welcome to ask us that as well. Like I told you, it's just 2 weeks on campus. The rest is every Saturday for eight Saturdays, and that's with the certificate. Faustina, do you want to take more questions in the chat box?
Any questions on the quantitative analysis GIS certificate? You can also put in the chat box and we'll take those as well. One of the questions that's here already is, what are the open source files we can use for agricultural GIS on soil and water?
So open source tool, like definitely one of the software which is there, which is open source, is QGIS. Besides GRASS, and there are other software as well. In terms of agriculture data, there are different remote sensing products which are available. So instead of, because we won't be teaching you the techniques in remote sensing, we will be using the remote sensing product. So that's what you can use, remote sensing, already existing product related to soil. In fact, soil data one can get from the authority, and one need to digitize that. But all those things are possible for any for whatever work you're working on. And there is, like, for water, there is a website, Varis, which is designed by ISRO. I think you can get a lot of water related data from there, as well as Bhuvan.
Can we learn GIS on
Yes.
Apple machines?
Yeah, QGIS is available on both Windows-based machine as well as Apple machine. So that is not a problem.
Great. How can GIS be used for educational interventions?
For that kind of thing, you need to take this course, right? Like, because we went through a very brief way, like how GIS can be used. Like, we need to figure out the target population, like in terms of educational, what kind of intervention you're talking about. First, I need to know that. But definitely, wherever the spatial component is there GIS can be definitely be used. So you need to, we need to come up with certain questions which you're trying to answer. Then I can definitely tell you how you can use GIS.
Yeah, then there's a question on which will the course use open source GIS tools
Yes.
and quantum GIS?
Yeah, so quantum GIS is nothing but QGIS. So yes, we will be using QGIS and Google Earth Pro for digitization. Google Earth Pro will be used as the base map. Yeah.
Yeah, in tribal areas, most of us don't have cadastral maps. What can they do? Is there any other source instead?
So if you don't have cadastral map, maybe I don't know exactly, but maybe one can use like Google Earth and try to digitize the boundaries there, because Google Earth has really high resolution data set. So perhaps it may be possible to figure out where are the boundaries, and one can make the boundary and use that. So creating our own data set, basically.
Faustina, sorry, there seem to be a lot of questions about the course that I want to just get some out of the way.
I've just answered some of them, in fact. What
Yes.
is the course fee?
So we also, I mean, our university is one that really does believe in diversity and in actually getting all sorts of, people with or in all walks of life to come into. And of course, financial aid is something one can apply for too. Sarmishta has been kind enough to share the link to where you can apply. There are FAQs there, the details, all sorts of details available. You can also look there. I think just as I am with Udaipur has his hand raised. And then there are more questions in the chat box about GIS.
There's one more about, this is very short notice for GIS course. Is there any chance to extend the date of registration?
Only Sarmishta can answer that.
See, 30th is supposed the last day. We might extend to maximum till 3rd of October. Yeah.
Thank you. How do we apply for? Yes.
Good evening. Sorry, I'm not able to open my camera because I'm traveling. So we have a lot of public policy students here, and I wanted to understand what level of proficiency will be achieved in GIS with this course. Whether they will be able to learn only basics, or they will have to go for more advanced course in GIS after completing this course, so that in a way we can recommend to other students also.
See, we are doing this course considering that students are going to be from very different backgrounds and will have different requirement in terms of cases, like in what domain one works on. So it is going to, we are covering a lot of domain related applications. And so in that way, we will be covering a lot of tools. And in fact, towards the end, one will be doing a small project kind of thing. So where one can like, okay, if this is my data, or how do I go from scratch till end to whatever questions I'm trying to address. So
Okay.
definitely, and there is no end to GIS learning. So in
Okay.
45 hours, means we are trying to cover maximum, like, but at the end, what our expectation is that one will be able to use GIS
Okay.
in their work
Okay.
to answer certain questions.
Okay. Because we run a course where our students are placed with the district collectors, and they make a lot of reports. I mean, every week they are working on some or the other report, and it would be a great help for them if they can use tools like GIS. So I assume that it's a good it will be a good for them to start with this course, and thank you so much, ma'am, for answering my query.
And just I wanted to respond. Another question was if it generates only maps. No, you can generate tons of statistics. I showed just as an example few of the maps as a visual representation, but you can generate all kind of statistics at district level or whatever the level of analysis is there, and whatever information one want, like how much area, what's the population density, whatever. Like I'm just giving some examples, but a lot of statistics you can generate, like some number crunching also if you want to do, and figure out like which areas are more affected, which areas are less, which are most suitable area, which is less suitable area, and what percentage of that area is there. And number of statistics you can generate from there. It depends on what's your application.
I just want to sort of reiterate a couple of points. Thank you everyone for showing so much interest in the course. It is for people with 2+ years of experience in the social sector. And the reason for doing this is because we believe we want to use this. And I really like the way that I think the kind of course teams have designed it. It is actually for social change, to actually make a difference on the ground. And we really believe if you do have a good understanding on the ground, then and conceptual understanding, then you can use these tools to make change, and you know what you're looking to do. And so that's why it is for 2+ years in the social sector. Sarmishta, maybe there are some questions about financial aid and scholarship. Perhaps you can take that.
Yeah, see, there is, you have to indicate that you are looking for financial assistance in the application form. And obviously, we take that ahead. There is a financial assistance committee who, looks into your case. And with proper submission of documents, we take that ahead. So there is, we do offer some financial assistance. And once you indicate, we take it ahead accordingly. So I'm putting in the link for this certificate program, and also the, contact details where you can reach out to us for further queries, again on the chat box, in case if any one of you have missed. If you call me or write to me, I would be able to answer your queries related to the application process.
I know, Punita, you have your hand raised, but there was a question, Neeti and Divya, about how useful GIS can be in agriculture. And I think you already made the case, but perhaps you want to repeat that.
Yeah, it can be really useful for agriculture sector. Like, for example, one can figure out like related to crop yield. It could be like how which are the important crops to be grown in certain area depending on what kind of soil quality is there and water resources are there. So a number of things can be done with the geoinformatics. So it can be highly useful.
I think Punita had the hand raised.
Thank you, Riti. I see the course seems to be quite interesting, and there are two aspects to it. One is getting the information through the GIS system and putting it into a database. So that is, I'm sure that we are going to, if we get into the course, we are definitely going to learn that process, how to capture the latitude and longitude, and then putting the required information. But then understanding the information is another aspect that's little analytical and understanding it with whatever information, already existing information, and we have, and analyzing it with the other set of data. So will this course be covering that analysis part also, how to do a map analysis, not really the graphical way of analyzing the things that we have been doing for ages, but map analysis and all that? Will this course be offering that also?
Can you repeat, what do you mean by map analysis? You mean spatial analysis?
I'm not familiar
Or
with
spatial modeling, what you're talking about?
Yes, maybe something like we are seeing two maps and then we are trying to analyze what is the difference in all that. So far, we have been just doing with the quantitative data and trying to interpret the information. We try to derive the information. So basically, so far, what has been happening, we get the things, we put it in Excel and we try to make graphs and charts and all that. But over here, we are trying to put the information, not only the quantitative information, but a sort of the, like we may also put the climatic situation. Like I come from a health side, so I can put a lot of disease, health burden situation data on that. And if I try to look at two maps and try to analyze what is the difference between the two maps. So will this course be offering understanding the maps in relation and individually? I mean, will that be, this course be offering?
So you mean, means as an expert, I believe like you're coming from health field. So as an expert, like means definitely deriving the map is one thing. And then what are the qualitative information there? Why something is looking different in one map compared to the other? That requires a lot of domain knowledge that we will be collectively, we can look into, and we will be able to do it, because it may not be like a whatever the qualitative information are there, definitely we can approach using GIS, or in fact that should be the final goal, that how do we interpret the map. So just making the map is not enough, but how do we interpret it? So we will be taking different case studies, and where we will talk about like, okay, these are the processes which need to be done. We get the result, how do we interpret it? So that's what we will be doing in this course. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, thank you.
Divya and Neeti, which tools or software do you use in this course?
So it will be QGIS and Google Earth Pro. So basically QGIS will be used for most of the data creation as well as spatial analysis. It will be QGIS, which is open source software, and it is available for both Windows as well as Apple-based machine.
A number of them couldn't see the presentation very well. They were asking if you could share it. So if you want to share any material, thank you for sharing your email addresses, but really, I don't think that was, we're going to be able to, take it from here. So if you, Sarmishta, how should they reach out if they're interested in material?
Yeah, we have all the registration. I mean, they had registered. We have their email ID. So, I mean, post this call and sometime I will share across the presentation with all of them. I can do that.
If Neeti and Divya okay with that.
Yes, if obviously if Neeti and Divya is fine with it.
Yeah, so it was like basically my presentation was from a research paper which I've written. So maybe
we can share that. Yeah.
The research paper. Maybe I can give the link also because people can download that research.
Yeah.
I'll just give that link right now. So it's in the chat box. You can open and have a look at the.
Yeah, got it. Thanks. Christina, you still here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, we are out of time.
So, yeah, so thank you everyone once again for joining this call, and please note that you can reach us. Sharmishta has put the links where you can log in and apply. But if you also go to our website and look at our diploma programs page, you will see the certificate and you can use that to apply. 30th is the last day. However, we could possibly extend it to 3rd. If you are actually interested and you need a little bit of time to decide. Any other queries, please feel free to write to us or call us. Our number and our email ID is available. Yeah. Thank you, Neeti. Thank you, Divya and Juhi. And thanks, Sharmishta. Thank you, everyone. Look forward to seeing some of you in the certificate program as well. Thank you.
Thank you for the interest and the great questions.
Yeah, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for the great sessions, ma'am.
I'm ending the meeting, Juhi. I'll just call you. I had
Sure.
yeah.